The night passed. The shepherds returned to their fields. Bethlehem settled back into sleep, and the child remained. Days moved quietly. There were no visitors with gifts, no crowds gathering at the door, only the slow rhythm of ordinary obedience. On the 8th day, they circumcised the child and gave him the name spoken long before, Jesus. The name was not chosen for beauty, it was chosen for purpose. And when the days of purification were complete, Mary and Joseph did what faithful parents always did. They went to the temple. Jerusalem stood awake while Bethlehem slept. The temple rose from the city like memory-made stone, courts worn smooth by generations of feet, walls that had heard prayers, whispered, cried, and begged. Lambs were brought in arms, coins clinked into offering boxes. Incense drifted upward as it had for centuries. And into that rhythm, 2 poor parents entered with the offering of the poor. They did not bring a lamb, they brought the lamb, but no one announced it. There was a man there, old now, waiting longer than most remembered, Simeon. He had been promised only one thing, that he would not die before he had seen the consolation of Israel. No timeline, no sign, only hope. When he saw the child, he did not hesitate. He took him into his arms, and in that moment, years of waiting folded into breath. "My eyes have seen your salvation." The words were joy, but not light. This child, he said, would reveal hearts, would lift some and undo others. A sword, he told Mary, would one day pierce her soul. She did not ask when, she did not ask how. She listened. And there was a woman too, Anna, a prophet. She had lived most of her life in the temple's shadow, fasting, praying, watching. She saw the child and spoke at once, not to priests, not to rulers, but to anyone who would listen. Redemption had come. The temple, which had always pointed forward, finally held what it had been built to announce. The sacrifice entered the house of sacrifice. The fulfillment stood beneath the altar's shadow, and still, no one stopped to stare. Mary and Joseph left the temple the same way they entered it, unnoticed, uncelebrated. But they carried with them the testimony of heaven, the blessing of the faithful, and a story that was only beginning to unfold. The first witnesses had spoken, and the child had been recognized, not by power, but by patience. Time passed. Bethlehem grew quiet again. The child grew. And far beyond Judea, eyes were lifted to the sky. Gentle shift, distant, observational. In the east, men trained to watch the heavens kept their records. Not dreamers, not mystics, astronomers. For centuries, imperial observers had charted the movements of the stars, recording what appeared, how long it lingered, and when it moved. And then, something new. A light appeared where none had been before. It did not blaze like a meteor. It did not wander like a planet. It remained, night after night, long enough to be measured, long enough to be remembered. Court scribes wrote it down, another sign among the stars, yet different. Farther west, in lands shaped by older memories, others noticed the same sky. The Magi, men of learning, readers of signs, keepers of ancient records. They had heard stories passed down through generations, records that did not originate with them. Centuries earlier, a Jewish exile had stood in their courts. Daniel, a man whose wisdom outlived kings, a man who spoke of kingdoms that would rise and fall, a man whose writings were preserved because they proved true. Among those records were promises, not tied to Rome, not bound to Persia, but written into time itself, that a ruler would come, that his arrival would be marked, that heaven itself would speak. When the star appeared, it was not interpreted in isolation, it was compared. measured, tested against what had already been written, and the conclusion unsettled them. This was not the birth of another empire. This was the arrival of a king. They prepared for a journey, not in haste, not in panic, with intention. Gifts were chosen, not randomly, but deliberately. And when they set out, they followed the light, not because it pulled them, but because it confirmed what they already believed. Their arrival disturbed the city. They asked a simple question: "Where is the one born King of the Jews?" Herod heard, and fear answered. The Magi had followed a sign. Herod guarded a throne. Only one of them understood what a true king looked like. The star did not lead them to a palace. It never had. And the question was no longer whether a king had been born, but who would kneel when he was found.